So we've been having a lot of conversations that relate to tech contractors who are starting out their business. I've had a lot of conversations lately with people who are still working as contractors.
Yep.
What we haven't done yet, but I'm excited to do today, is speak to someone who's worked for the most part of their career as a tech contractor, but now has taken a step that doesn't necessarily exclude everything that they've been doing before, in your case, UX design,
Right.
but it's taken a very big step into entrepreneurship and basically using their contracting career as a platform to build a business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So real excited to have you here, Mr. Miller. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Flying out from the Caribbean just for me.
Yes.
That means a lot.
From the Caribbean, not from the Bahamas, as you incorrectly.
Until today, I thought it was the same thing. So thank you.
I've actually never been to the Bahamas in the Caribbean. That's probably like one of the only countries I've never been to, and I want to go to.
Yeah.
But
it's a hop, skip, and a jump away from where you're spending a lot of time. So
yeah,
a lot of time for that.
Yeah. But definitely, as you say, like my career as a contractor and as a UX designer was incremental in like, me starting Feisty Paw, and that gave me a great foundation.
Beautiful. I mean, so let's back it up for those who don't know you. You and I have known each other a long time.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up exactly? And did you always see yourself doing something creative?
Right.
And at what point did the entrepreneurial itch start to grab you?
Right. Yeah. So, as we discussed, like I grew up in Kingston.
Jamaica, not Ontario.
Kingston, Jamaica.
Yeah.
Very different Kingston.
Yeah, no doubt.
Very hot Kingston.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I was surrounded by I think my family, we travel a lot. And even like my neighbors, as we were talking about earlier, they're Canadian and Jamaican. So we have this kind of this inherent split between, it's actually a beautiful split. So basically, by the time it gets warm here, we, jet to Toronto. Like I spent most of my summers here growing up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm doing now. Like, in my mid 30s, I'm spending my summers here, and it's almost reminiscent of my childhood. And it's interesting because I'm starting a business as well. So, So
what was it like growing up there with respect to, because you ended up being like, you spent most of your career up until this date as a designer, UX designer.
Yeah.
With respect to growing up in Jamaica, and you told me before, like you did high school in Jamaica too. Like, were you always a creative person, and where did the creativity start? Like, what was your first outlet, should I say?
Well, I think I'm glad we talked about it. Like right before we jumped on, like I was a child actor.
Yeah.
And I don't remember having a conversation with my family about it. Like, okay, now you're going to be doing this thing. Are you okay with it? They were just like, yeah, you're going to be drinking this, this can of like Kool-Aid in 3, 2, 1, and just be yourself.
Yeah, lights, camera, action.
Yeah, and then it just sort of went from there to sort of like radio. We were talking about this sort of the different technology like in the 90s. And actually that required you to be more creative, and it actually helped me with like improv. Like with the radio, you had to do things in one take. You couldn't really stop and chop things up because there weren't as many like computer programs to like stop and chop things up. So it was like, let's get it all in one go, and you could improvise within that. You could, sort of change the words, or if something felt more natural, or if somebody said, I like that. I like what you said there. Right. So I think that was my earliest sense of creativity.
Okay.
And I think I was lucky enough to try different things. I was also surrounded by a lot of just inherently creative people. My mom, she drew her own designs for like clothes.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Like one of my closest cousins, I grew up, seeing a lot of his drawings too. I drew a lot as well, but sort of different things. Like it would be more houses or whatever I was interested in. It could be art. But there was always an innate sense of creativity. And I think the entrepreneurial side of it didn't come until much later, maybe until college. So I went to college in the States.
Where'd you go?
I went to the College of Worcester. It's a liberal arts college.
Okay.
Yeah. So your viewers in Canada might not be familiar with like the liberal arts schools, but it's basically a private school with like small classes, super small classes.
Okay,
like
I can picture it.
You're on like a Hogwarts style campus. They're beautiful campuses. Yeah.
Nice.
And small classes, and then you meet like a bunch of amazing people.
Okay.
Like, my business partner, that's where I met him. So, in college, not in my college. But, so they're amazing. Friends. Yeah. They're amazing sort of, incubators for, creative people, social people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you come from, like, we'll say, artsy family, right? And you were able
Artsy
to
and
explore a
traveled.
couple different passions. Yeah, you've seen a
Yeah.
little bit of the world from a
Right.
young age. And at that point where you started working as a designer, right? You were a contractor. Was it early in your career or later, would you say?
It was quite early in my
Early.
career. Yeah, for
Would you come
sure.
from an entrepreneurial family though? Like, do people in your family have
Yes.
their own business for
Yeah,
the most part?
definitely.
So
Yeah.
you were no stranger to just like, okay, starting a business, working time and material as a contractor. That was pretty
Yeah,
not foreign
I
to
think it
you.
was it was more like pretty much all of my working life was in Canada. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though I am well traveled, like I grew up in Kingston, spent my summers
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
went to school in the States. I think when I think of work, I'm thinking of Canada and how Canada is
Toronto
very
market,
Toronto
contract,
market
yeah.
is it's very job centric, it's very company centric. There are a lot of companies with like legacy here, right? So definitely early on, I started, with like a big company working as a UX designer.
Okay.
And that was like my sense of like what the job was like, working for a particular contract for Rogers or Fido or, working on specific campaigns that had specific goals. So, yeah.
So you spent some time as a freelancer, but then at what point did you
Mhm.
make the decision that, okay, I'm starting my own, like, yeah, you had your own business before.
Mhm.
Effectively, it was a time and material consulting
Yeah,
design
totally,
business,
totally,
but
totally.
like your own business outside of tech contracting.
Right.
At what was the catalyst for that?
Right. Well, actually, I think I'm skipping ahead here, so I'm going to take a step back.
Yeah, please.
So in college, one of the things with this liberal arts school that I was
Mhm.
talking to you about earlier is that, they kind of have one foot in sort of the emerging world, right? Like things, whatever is the emerging world at the time. And I think when I was going to school, that's when startups were getting really hot. So there was like a pretty intense entrepreneurial program. And my twin brother, that's pretty much who I credit to. He was my gateway drug into entrepreneurship.
Wow.
He was very business centric. He was like an economics and philosophy double major. He has a very, solid
guy.
business sense. Yeah. And I'm more creative. So I think, we were able to combine our skills and talents into a super monster that was, so I guess I, kind of softened the edges of the economics and philosophy. And
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
able to say, okay, well, people are building apps. People are building cool websites. People are, building cool kinds of products. So you can channel your creative ability into something that makes money. And he was like, let me worry about the money and the bottom line. You just worry about what it is and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it looks and how it feels, which it sounded great to me.
Especially for back then too. He knew what he was talking about with respect to what they need from a proper designer back then, right?
Totally.
That's
And I
quite
think,
ahead.
yeah. And for me, it changed my brain chemistry because I wasn't ever thinking of it as a career. I was in school at the time for chemistry, believe it or not.
I don't. No.
Yeah. Literally, I wanted to be a nuclear chemist because, I knew that there were so many energy implications, but also security implications as well. So I was like, yeah, it could be cool. I'll probably travel all over the world, but it'll also help me to hone my skills and talents in chemistry. I love
Wow.
science. Yeah. That probably comes from from like growing up in Jamaica, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're very it's very STEM oriented.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and you have a STEM. Pretty much everyone in Jamaica has like a STEM base.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they're really good in the way that they teach you. Yeah, basic maths and they do everything the long way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very
Good
research
fundamentals.
focused. Yeah, so even it actually really helped me for UX design because a key part of UX design is yes, designing something that's cool and flashy, but it's also there's a huge research component, making sure you're looking at similar products.
Right.
You're looking at what people are saying, right? Like, which is like super important.
Yeah, your principles are good.
Totally,
Right?
exactly.
With
But
everything that you do.
yeah. So, but back to your question, like the entrepreneurial itch came from my brother in college. Yeah,
Wow.
that was the start. And then afterwards, it was sort of looking for an opening, right? Where I could say, okay, well, I could start a business. Like it's always sort of a thought in the back of my mind. Even if I'm working or even if I was doing the several contracts, I was like, yeah.
I guess it helped too, like working as a contractor, you're already used to running a business for just you. And now if you're
Totally.
looking to building something that's a bit bigger than say one person show,
Yeah.
you're
totally.
already in that mode. And if he kind of put that in your mind and how to actually do and scale that's quite nice. The other thing I was going to say, so as a contractor in tech,
Mhm.
you do have to develop a pretty robust network to make sure that you
Oh my
constantly have work at the high times and low times, because
Yeah,
they both come, and
absolutely.
especially now, I think a lot of people are seeing how important it is to maintain a proper network,
Mhm.
just not a bunch of connections on LinkedIn that you've never
Absolutely.
spoken to or interacted before.
Mhm.
What was your, I don't want to say secret, but what was your methodology in making sure that while you were a freelancer, right, while
Mhm.
you were a contractor in tech, you maintained a solid network, a real network?
Mhm.
And how did that, if at all, help you build the business that you're building up today?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's even the reason that we're sitting here today is because this is a relationship that I've just maintained, and it's
2017? No,
yeah,
2017.
and it's been a low maintenance. I haven't been like, oh my god, I haven't spoken to Maurizio
Yeah.
in a year.
I'm a pretty low maintenance guy.
I
Maybe
need
it's
to
a bad
send him
example.
a postcard from the Bahamas. No, and I think that it's perfectly enigmatic of just, I think one of the benefits
Yeah.
of like having a career in Canada is that it's so easy and low maintenance to create a network of like-minded people. As people transition into different things too, right? Because I think, you and I have been in different roles, like me as a contractor, you as a recruiter, but now we're sort of in a very different role too. So those relationships can also transcend as people grow.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the biggest benefits, of working in Canada, is that, it's been so easy to just, I guess, be yourself. I
Yeah, that's
guess that
fair.
was maybe the biggest thing I did was just be myself and just, been, true to who I am and sort of my roots and also my skills and abilities.
Where'd you get most of your work from when you were doing contract?
So I got most of my work from the big companies, from the big established companies. So we're talking about like 2015,
Okay.
2014, 2015, like a lot of the big established companies in Canada, because like in 2013, 2015, Canada, was kind of in the shadow of like very large American companies that were like, like the Facebooks
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Spotifys and the Twitters that were launching at the time, right? But only like the large companies in Canada had that kind of capital to invest in, the people that you would need to create the kinds of products that they were
Yeah.
creating.
Sure.
So very early on, like in my career, that's where I found a lot of the work. Is that people were, a lot of companies in Canada were saying, we're so inspired by what people are doing in the US, like all these companies are creating. So we want to have a piece of that. Telecom companies like Rogers, big banks, Desjardins, TD, BMO.
Would a lot of your stakeholders, like let's say you did some good work for someone at Rogers, and then they go to the next telecom company, would they call you back and try and get you to go over there? Or same thing at the bank, like maybe someone at TD went to Desjardins and vice versa.
Yeah,
Like, did that
yeah,
happen?
yeah. That happened, and that's kind of like how my career started,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Is
Okay.
that pretty much like that's how my entire career started, is doing contract work, and then it just sort of evolved into a full-time position.
Yeah.
Like with
Yeah.
Rogers, it was like one of my first contracts. I was just there to be like a senior UX contractor because they were undergoing a digital transformation. This is in 2015. A lot of big companies were trying to kind of create a startup within their big, usually aging company.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
So they wanted somebody who had a pulse into that sort of world, right? So so I joined Rogers, and I was able to do all kinds of projects. Like I built a physical user research lab,
Okay.
which was cool. User research is a huge part of UX design, as we were talking about. So, but they had the capital really,
To
to
do that.
allow us to do that. So,
Yeah, that's something that is, at the end of the day, you're just doing good work for good people, and that
Mhm.
creates a bit of a name for yourself. That
Totally,
as people move and shift and change jobs, like that's what creates more opportunity for
totally.
you. As long as you leave an impression, you make an effort to keep in touch with those people, that's what
Right.
creates further opportunity, right? When you look at your strongest business relationships today, especially the ones that are perhaps tied to the company that you're in the process of
Mhm.
building, called Feisty Paw, which we
Mhm.
will be talking about tons. What do you think made those partnerships stick to the point where you're at a point where you can actually grow the company now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the biggest relationship I have is with my co-founder Yusuf.
And how'd you meet Yusuf again?
So we met through mutual friends. So he's an extremely smart person. He went to like a much better college than I did.
Yeah,
MIT, a
that's all
very
right.
revered Ivy League school. And that's where I met him, and just maintained this low maintenance friendship. We've evolved over the years and have tried different things before. He has a very he has an acute sense of sort of like what's going on in the world, like, whether it's AI or robotics or even geopolitically, which is so important. We talked about that earlier, is that, in the Middle East, because he's Egyptian, they have such a different sense of work and working. Right. So even working with him has expanded my view of sort of like what working means. And it's helped me to sort of redefine myself as I've transitioned from contractor to owner and to CEO. Right. I think it's taking on that Middle Eastern approach has been like, 1,000%.
And you've been to the Middle East?
I have not been to the Middle East yet.
Not yet.
Been very close to the Middle East, but not yet.
Okay.
And I will be there. We'll be going there very soon.
Very nice. Where are you going?
I'll probably, if I had to pick first, I'd probably pick Sharm el Sheikh. So it's a tourist town that's kind of on the south of Egypt, and it's a very popular beach town. Yusuf is always there. That's one of his favorite places. It's very beachy. It's very similar to like a resort that you'd see in Jamaica, but obviously very desert oriented. So I definitely want to go there. First.
What has he taught you about how they do business in parts of the Middle East? Like, you can start with Egypt, or if he has exposure to other places in the Middle East, like, would love to hear that. What have you taken from working with him and kind of getting exposure to that market through your business partner?
Yeah. So, and we talked about this earlier, like in Canada, Canada, people are very job centric and, contract focused, which is cool. And it works. And it works for, where we live. But sort of when you're thinking about starting a business, I guess you want to expand that. You want to become more, it's probably less individualistic now that I think about it, right? And it's more thinking about, it's kind of more altruistic, like, what impact can I leave? That's probably the question that, they start with, like, what impact could I leave? What could change the world? What could be better for the world? Which I don't think it's something that's top of mind. Like for me, when I was working as a contractor, I wasn't like, well, what could change the world? I'm like, okay, well, what do you need, my boss? Like,
Yeah, what's a deliverable?
Yeah, exactly. What's a deliverable?
Yeah.
Which is
when do you
cool
need
too.
it by,
Yeah,
right?
which is cool too. Which is cool as like, as a developing worker, right? You're trying to, figure out how do I work? Like, what's my style? Like, what do I need to like, finish a project or to, be my best, right? How do I need to communicate with others? What kind of restrictions do I need, or, do I have special requirements? But I think when it comes to, starting a business, the Middle Eastern approach is so, it's less individualistic, more, it's based on the bottom line. It's based on real world events. It's based on legacy, right? So I think that is probably the best approach.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's probably the best approach. It's more, it's more altruistic, more,
I hear you.
Yeah.
What about, let's go to Feisty Paw for a minute. So
okay.
with the new company, number one, first and foremost, are you still doing design work as the CEO at Feisty Paw for the app or elsewhere, or what's the deal with that? Have you completely left that in the past?
So because so our third employee is ChatGPT. So we've been using, I know we're going to talk about AI a lot. Very early on in the business, we made a decision to employ AI in terms of like our major decisions. And one of the first decisions was, okay, well, who's going to do the design, right? And since we're sort of talking about products, which is a little bit different than sort of what I've been doing, I've been sort of designing websites, apps, experiences, sort of layered and guided experiences. So it wasn't I didn't have an instinct to sort of jump in right away. I think at first we did try to externally outsource the major parts of the business, like maybe the logo and the styling, right? And then, we tried our hand at like seeing if, AI could say, okay, well, here's kind of the brand. We have 3 flavors. AI, can you, show us what 3 flavors would look like? And we quickly saw that, like, while it was able to kind of give us a sense of how we could design things, It didn't really meet the mark.
And this was ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, this was
Free
ChatGPT.
version or
No,
paid? Premium version.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Middle Eastern premium. Yeah.
Well, there's different between countries.
No, the Middle Eastern mentality.
Sorry.
Yeah, he was just like, he was like, we're definitely getting the premium. No way. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, I don't know with the free, but like with the premium, you have multiple models.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you have like O3 that's reasoning. You have one that's for coding. You have one that's just for imaging.
And this one was, I guess, an imaging.
I think I was also playing with it.
Okay,
right?
I got
so
you.
like, because once we got the premium, I was like, whoa, we got all kinds of buttons and bells and whistles. So there was a bit of like a workup that I had to do.
Okay, that's cool.
Figuring it out. But I quickly learned that, while it's definitely a good aid for design, because there's been talk about like, will AI like replace all designers? I can comfortably say absolutely not.
No way.
Absolutely not. And like AI is good for, concepts like, hey, we're thinking about, expanding a design that we have right now. Like we want to, make this blue water bottle green. How would that look? So without a designer having to sort of
put in the
time for something that isn't even something that you want to invest in, you can quickly go to AI and they can show you a green bottle, right? You can be like, all right, that kind of looks good. But then when it comes to a deliverable that you have to make money on, maybe if you're dealing with a product, it's something that you have to go and manufacture.
You can't just punch that in and expect to command top dollar for it.
Exactly. Like our manufacturers are just like, you have one typo in the ingredient line that's like, so small. So like the AI can't do that.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. So it's not there yet, but it's definitely a good aid. So I did jump in, eventually and just like, did most of it. And using the AI as an assistant, it really helped to optimize my design.
The ideation was very much AI, but then you kind of went in with your expertise and made it what it is perhaps today.
I would say the ideation we did.
Okay, fair.
And I did, as a designer, like the sketching.
Oh, nice.
And then I would have to
you were very hands-on with this then.
Yes. And it being my business too. And me being a designer, like I had a very specific look, how I wanted it to look and feel. I wanted it to feel light and sort of like homemade.
Yeah.
But then also wanted it to have like visual cues to like the ingredients and like the flavors that we talked about. So
so at this point, whoever's listening is probably thinking, well, what is this exactly? So if we for those new to Feisty Paw, right? What exactly is the business? What sets you guys apart from perhaps others that are in the space? Are there others in the space? What's the elevator pitch for Feisty Paw?
So Feisty Paw is an organic and lovingly sourced food and supplement company that provides a variety of different foods and supplements for dogs and cats, primarily pets.
Big business pets, eh?
Exactly.
Very nice.
Yes, we have had to sort of include cats into that. Like we wanted to focus on dogs because, economically dogs, they do take up most of the market, but cats also deserve, a little CBD as well. So we use products like CBD and omega-3s and glucosamine and stuff like that.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, could be my own ignorance. I'm not sure if the wider population, well, from what you're saying before, clearly everyone knows about it, but I didn't know that CBD could be used for pets and all this kind of thing. So that's super interesting. The pet market in probably every aspect, from what I can tell without pulling up, studies and data, seems pretty lucrative, right?
Yeah.
A lot of room to add a lot of value to pet health. I guess
early on, we maybe assumed that we'd have to do a lot of legwork in convincing people, like, oh, this is what CBD is, or you never heard of CBD, but that actually we've never really had to do that. Like even across different age groups, even like I think it's been pretty easy. There are a lot of studies that are published across universities, vet associations, and we actually have collated them in a research center on our site. So it's made it much easier for us. We're also like, all our products are lab tested. And we also have a resident in-house vet as well. That's
helpful.
Yeah, that's available to
make sure that everything is top notch. They can give them the real like medical research, I guess, if they have questions. So from UX contract designer to CEO of CBD pet treat health company, but it's not, from what I understood, not just CBD treats, should I say? Like there's probiotics, multivitamins. Like what exactly is the strategy behind expanding your product line?
Yeah. So, it was kind of an operational decision. So at first we wanted to focus on CBD because we were a new company and we wanted that to be our edge. Especially once we had done market research to sort of see that, people are looking for CBD treats and they're looking for a variety of them and they're looking for them for different reasons, so it wasn't even something we needed to educate people about. They were already looking for CBD, fireworks, help, So once we, figured that out, we were pretty set on CBD, but we found that there were restrictions when it comes to marketing, on Google and social media. So we did have an intent to go to other, to expand to other health products like probiotics and multivitamins, but we wanted to test out the CBD market first. But once we saw that it was difficult to advertise because we have CBD, we just said, okay, we're going to expand to probiotics and multivitamins. And now it's become a sort of a trifecta or a trio of health solutions.
Yeah, so you can almost pull in a wider audience using the products where there's not so much legal issues in promoting it effectively. And then when they go on, they try it, they see the suite of products. There's other stuff that obviously they would want. What specific need are you solving in this case when it comes to stuff like, I mean, I don't even know much about probiotics for humans. Like I couldn't tell you too much about that. But when it comes to pets, what issue sort of does this kind of thing solve?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And we've talked about our dogs, right? Our dogs are they're pretty much like quintessential dogs, like happy, they're active, they're adaptive, they'll do whatever you want to do. If you want to sleep in, they'll sleep in. But speaking from experience, I have a lot of friends who have dogs that are, very vastly different.
Yeah, big time.
So, for example, my sister-in-law has a family dog that's almost like 13 years old and has, and we've talked about like your family dog as well that had cancer. My sister-in-law's dog had the same thing and had a terrible health scare and was able to get through it, and has now been taking the multivitamin and the CBD to alleviate joint pain. But to also help with his movement, right?
Gotcha.
So while, as pet owners, we're able to say, okay, well, oh my God, I have the perfect dog, because that's what every pet owner thinks.
No doubt.
There are a variety of dogs that do have issues. And, there could be one thing that could help them or alleviate them, whether it's like, skin issues. I will say with my dog, even though my dog is absolutely 100% perfect,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, my dog does have like eczema, like
sure.
Their breed does have eczema, so dry skin. So the multivitamin does help to replenish the oils in their coat, and that does alleviate the itching. So it's kind of fine tuning your health for your dog. Right. Yeah. A lot of my friends have dogs with like digestive issues, and are trying out different types of probiotics. So it's real. And I don't think we talk about it even as dog owners. We don't even really talk about like sort of like, the struggles our dogs have. So
I guess a lot of people don't know. It's probably a little bit of ignorance too, right? There's not maybe as much research available. I have no idea.
Yeah. I would almost say like what's been surprising to me has been how many people I know that have like issues with their dogs that like fit our product line. I had no idea. I was just like, wow, we're really in the right space. Like,
wow. Most people will spend more money on the dogs than themselves. Like when it comes to health,
That's true.
They won't think twice about it for the dog, but when it comes to themselves, like, I don't have to buy that this month, or I don't got to get into that. But for the dog, snap of a finger, they're ready to spend the big bucks for them.
Yeah, especially like or families.
Yeah,
like we've talked about, or families being sort of like kind of like huge and like intense and like, maybe slightly enmeshed, right? Like, my family's taken over my dog and they're so intense. My dog is like so chill, like, we'll eat dry food, like, just fine. But my mom insists on making these huge stews with like cornmeal and sausages and all this stuff. I'm just like, you don't need to do this.
Well-fed
and first
dog,
of all,
though.
I don't really want my dog, thinking that this is going to happen every day, right? Like, come on, let's be real.
Yeah, they like a routine. They're going to expect it, right?
Exactly. So it's so interesting to see how people transmute that love to animals. It's amazing to be a part of that journey.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, when you're passionate about a business too, like you put that much more into it, it's that much more real. And
Totally.
that's what helps the word of mouth, I think, right? Which is,
Totally.
I think, in a business like this, I mean, I'm no expert,
Yeah.
but I'd like to think that that's probably what's going to help you guys take off, right?
Right.
Someone use it, they love the product. And there's no turning back after that. What do you think, going back to the CBD part, what do you think is the biggest misconception with respect to CBD for pets?
So that's a good question. So I would say the biggest misconception that it's only for dogs who have like serious issues. Like there are definitely studies that show that it has antispasmodic effects. It can be used as an analgesic, and it does have anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay.
But it isn't a central anti-inflammatory. It's not only an inflammatory or antispasmodic or analgesic, but it can, you can use those effects as therapies for dogs.
Gotcha. So it's not just, again, maybe this is my own ignorance, but it's not necessarily if your dog, God forbid, has like some kind of cancer or something like that. It's for much more than just that.
Yeah. It could be according to the breed. Like certain breeds have certain issues. It really is according to or friends that have different dogs.
I hear you.
And sort of really looking at therapeutic effects. There isn't it's not designed for, primarily dogs that are ill, but, dogs that just need therapeutic things to just enhance their quality of life.
So you're saying you have a vet who's almost like your resident vet, in case people do have questions and want to clarify with someone who's certified and trained properly. But through all of this, there's also, you said, like studies and resources from like credible universities that have proven this or that.
Totally.
Well, what are some of the most like surprising things that you've learned in starting this company and actually getting firsthand some of the results of that research? Like, what have you learned that maybe someone like me or someone watching wouldn't know?
So I will say, I guess an insider opinion that I can give is that we've actually been confused because like I'm so close to the product, right? So I've literally been zoomed in to the, like, looking at what you were asking me, like, oh my God, like you're living the dream, like you're just doing all this amazing work. I'm like, dude, I've been like literally zoomed in looking at the ingredients list for all three of the products and just like, and like, cause the person who's printing our products is just like, oh wait, you missed, that it has like, beef seasoning in it or something like that. Right. So, and what I've noticed is that, the products are very similar. So it's like there are a lot of vitamins and minerals even in the probiotic, even in the CBD treat. It's almost, so it's, it's so highly enriched. There's so many helpful vitamins and minerals. It's almost like really they all could be a multivitamin. Of course, the multivitamin has the most, but they have so much more than just, their core compound, right? So, our customers will get so much benefit from using any of our products, really. And that's what we've seen from like the tests that we've done so far with like our friends and family.
Not to put you on like the hit list of one of these big dog food manufacturers, but have you started to recognize through some of this research maybe ingredients that are commonly found in stuff you get off the shelf, like dog foods and dog treats, that perhaps shouldn't be there for the health of the dog?
Totally. So grains is a big thing.
Grains.
So all of our products are grain free.
Okay. And grains are bad for dogs.
Grain. So I'm not a vet. Where's my camera?
Yeah, it's no real advice. It's just someone's reading research. This is what he read, and that's what he's saying.
No, so it's kind of like humans, right? Like especially humans in Canada. Everybody has like a lot of allergies and sensitivities. So actually that's probably something I found out, like, it also extends to dogs too. And owners are very sensitive, about like, using grain-free products.
Interesting.
Most
of the stuff has grains, eh?
I know ours doesn't.
Yours, of course. But I mean, like, if you're going to go buy some dog food off the shelf, there's a good chance probably going to be some grains in it.
Unfairly targeted on the subway or something.
Yeah.
Co-representative.
Okay.
I think that some dogs can take grains, but I think it's an additive for the health conscious consumer who's just like, I want
the best.
Right. So like, ours they use a lot of chickpea flour, right? Chickpeas,
of course,
Greek yogurt, right? Berries, cranberries, blueberries, not every berry, because with dogs it's like you can't
be
really use
careful.
everything. We use cantaloupe, right? A lot. Chicken, right?
Yeah.
Beef, right? So
Okay. Back to what we were saying about, using ChatGPT, maybe that's just scratching the surface, but with respect to incorporating AI into what you're building here,
Oh my
into the
God.
product, the customer experience, the look, the feel,
Totally.
how, like the whole shebang, right? What's been the biggest impact, I would say, so far? And what are you most excited to incorporate AI into as you continue this journey?
I would say that that's been a huge surprise for me as somebody that I would say, like, as a designer, you're sort of into tech, right? So like new technologies, or like much of the tools that we've been using so far to design for business, I've been used to. But like, I guess the newest thing was that I used so far was ChatGPT, and it is literally like our third employee. Honestly, like it is just
That's crazy.
it is our third employee. And like I don't and I've sort of been tuned into the conversations around AI and how it will affect our jobs. And I certainly have friends in the tech industry. You as a recruiter, I'm sure what the industry is like, especially in Canada, right? It's people are getting hammered. But I am now convinced that AI will come for a lot of the jobs. Not that AI will even be effective in those jobs, like as we talked about earlier with design. It's not really spot on, but it can help to supplement, which can basically like reduce your time completely, right? So it's like you're now in a position where it's like, do you need a designer? Well, you're kind of a designer, so just talk to GPT. They can send you most of the files. Like, let's say, for example, I want to come up with a new product, right? Let's say, like last week, we always talk about like new products, like me and my business partner. We're just like, should we do oils? Should we just do an oil? Should we do a salmon, like a coat, an oil for the coat? So, let's say in the pre-AI world, that would take us so long to even figure out, okay, well, how would that look, right? But now you can spin that up in like 2 seconds, right? Literally, you could send, I can send the AI a picture of what we have already, like, so they have like, the text and the wording and the logo, and you can say, hey, send me a picture of what you think, like, it would look like with an oil, right?
Yeah.
Give me 2 flavors, right? And it's mostly there, and you can kind of make business decisions just off of that, right?
Wild.
So it's incredible in terms of the business capabilities. I actually don't know who we would even hire.
To replace, you mean?
Like
in place of what you're doing with AI.
Earlier we're talking about like, when you're profitable, right? It's like, if we're like, let's say it's 6 months from now, we're fully profitable and we're tooled up. I don't know who we would hire. I don't know.
You may not need.
I don't think so. Maybe just a person just to look in and ask the AI, like, hey, what do we need to do again? But I literally don't know who we would hire. And that's crazy. That has surprised me the most, even as a person who is in tech, as a designer. Like,
without ChatGPT, do you think you guys would have hired someone already for help or no?
Hell yeah. What you talking about? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because even as a design, because you were asking me earlier about like, how involved were you as a designer, right? And or instinct early on was, even for my business partner, he was like, no, don't do the design. I don't want you focused on that. Very early on. And I was like, cool. Yeah. I could go either way. But he was like, no, don't do the design. I don't want you to be a designer. You're not a designer primarily. And I was like, okay, cool. And we tried to go third party. And just even the back and forth with this other person, oh, it's not quite right. Just even like the amount of time that you have to do if you have to make changes, or you have to make edits, or we're thinking about a new product. Getting a person to do that, it's a person that's far away, perhaps in a different time zone. It was just way more difficult, right? So it was way easier for me as a designer to just basically do a third of a job.
Wow.
Literally. It was easy. It was the easiest design work I've ever done, because ChatGPT can just spin up a blank container that's a vector file. So I don't need to pay for a vector file from somewhere. It can just spit me up a new one, or whatever kind of because every supplier we use has different bottles or
Sure.
formulations. It can just
Whatever you need.
it can spin it up for free in no time. And then, let's say I need, oh my God, I want to see what it looks like with a dog on the thing, right? Because we want to, make a connection to a dog. You could just say, hey, ChatGPT, give me a,
Throw it on there.
throw me a golden retriever. Boom. I don't need to go somewhere, pay for it on Shutterstock. It is a game changer. Absolutely.
Crazy.
I don't even want to think about who we would need to hire. We probably might not be in business. Yeah. Because it would just take us forever.
That's crazy.
It really is crazy. That is the most surprising thing.
So
Yeah.
Can you forecast out enough, say like 3 to 5, where Feisty Paw may be considering all this, and with that, where the pet and like what pet wellness, we'll say, industry will be alongside you guys in, say, like I said, 3 to 5?
Yeah. So my biggest hope for the industry is that, the regulations around marketing and advertising are completely loosened up, especially when it comes to pets. Like that, there's no reason for that. Like in 2025, there's like accredited universities and veterinary associations that have done studies, FAQs, quizzes.
The whole bit.
Even vet doctors doing, like articles on benefits of CBD. There's really no reason for those kinds of restrictions. And we definitely aren't seeing it from like our prospective customers.
Right.
So I do hope that loosens up. But internally for the business, we're taking careful steps to look at, what are meaningful things that we can add, right? We talked about that kind of Middle Eastern sort of like utilitarian, like what would be good for the world. And certainly I've taken inspiration from living here, like in Canada or like in Toronto in a big city. There's a focus on making things easier, like for food. Right. So I was thinking of, expanding to like this freeze dried product where you can create these kinds of stews, kind of like how my mom does, like with the polenta and with the rice. And
you guys do polenta too?
We can.
See, Jamaicans, Italians aren't so different, man.
They aren't.
Eh?
Right. So it's like, basically if my mom wanted to do the stew, it's all the ingredients already there. And she's just like, oh my God, I don't need to go to the supermarket and go specially. It's all here and sort of done. And that's sort of, a nutritious, a way to add nutrition, but also you have that labor of love, right? Yeah. Because, it's so nice to sort of lovingly prepare a meal for your dog.
Yeah, it gives a sign of quality too, right? Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's hard to replace, hard to replicate.
It feels
creates
good.
A barrier on its own, right?
Totally.
And there's a nice story connected to it too. That's kind of what you need to differentiate a product instead of just something people buy off Amazon.
Right. And also, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, like I've been so surprised with the amount of CBD infused products. Like I was, we were just thinking, we're just going to do.
So it's already saturated in a sense.
In terms of like the formulator that we use, like the lab that we go to like, basically pick what formulation of cookie do we want or, whatever. There are so many different formulations. You can get bath bomb, things that I just hadn't even think of, bath bombs for dogs. You can have different bombs for the joints. You can have like
what a great business.
All kinds of cookies. You can have like, corn-based cookies. You can have grain-free based cookies, chickpea-based cookies. So I think that was also very different. I was just like, wow, I had no idea there was over like 100 CBD formulations that we can choose from. Like literally, even we wanted to basically choose like one CBD product, and there were at least 5. We could have done like glucosamine and taurine. We could do just calming. Like there were so many different formulations. Cool. So we definitely will expand. I think it's just going at a good pace.
Yeah.
The pace has been important, right? Yeah. Especially because we pretty much know that people like it, especially dog owners that know CBD, right?
Yeah, so it's more important to get it right than move too quickly and get it wrong. It's almost more costly to do it that way. What's since becoming a founder, what's the hardest call that you've had to make, or one of the toughest decisions you've had to make since starting Feisty Paw?
I think it's actually like a non-business decision. It's like prioritizing my mental health has been the most important thing.
It's hard to do that? What's so hard about that?
I think it's been the hardest call, but not in a difficult way. Like it's not like oh my God, do we have to close our business? But it's where I've had to recognize that my mental health is so important in my ability to be a founder, right? Like, they're, especially when you're starting a business, like you haven't really made any money yet. You haven't really, you've started things, you design things, you put in orders, you have a sense of how it's going to sell. But like, you're really slogging it out in the first couple of days. And it's like very, hard on your mental health. Like, you don't know if it's going to work. Right. You don't know, your family's asking like, how's it going now? And you're, they're hoping for the best, but you really don't know how it's going to go. So it's very hard on your mental health. And there have been some times, where I've had to be like, okay, I need to like not work for like 2 days. And thank God I have an amazing, business partner we're so in tune with each other. And I think I got a sense of that from the tarot cards that I use.
Yeah.
Weirdly. Yeah. Is that like, we're so in tune and we're so forceful with each other about like, slowing down. Right. So he is the number one person to be like, you shut it down. I don't want to hear anything for the next 2 days. Yeah. We got to make this important business decision, but you cannot be burnt out. Right. Or, you got to like go walk your dog. Right. Like, have you fed your dog? Like, you have a dog business and you're just inside working, like go, just go, go be a human. So I think that's been the hardest call in a weird way. It's like your mental health is important. So important.
Well, it's good you can strike a balance though. I guess growing up in the Caribbean, but working most of your life in Toronto, as long as you can harness a little bit of both, you should be in a place where your mind's in an all right spot, no?
They're so different though.
Yeah.
They're so different, dude.
Yeah.
They're so different. Because like the Caribbean is so chill.
Yeah.
They're so relaxed.
Yeah.
Like I even remember when a friend was visiting like a month ago and I was at the barber and like I think, I was late at the barber, right? And my friend had already landed and I was trying to tell the barber, like, dude, I got to go, like, right now. And everybody was just like, just relax.
Yeah,
just
right, buddy.
chill. Like, there's you're late. You don't want to be late. You don't want to, like, and I was just like, okay, yes, I get this. So it's like me having to switch between my Canada brain and my island brain, it's like they're both, both perspectives are important, right? Nothing is ever like worth the rush. Right.
What is the tech scene like down there in Jamaica?
The tech scene down there is actually, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I would say it's not very attached to like North America.
Okay.
Right.
So they're building stuff for the Jamaican population, you're saying, or the Caribbean in a sense.
Actually, let me think about that. So you have I would say it's split. So you have, there's a tech scene that's devoted to Jamaica and the Caribbean. So we do have like our own Uber Eats called Seven Crave.
Okay.
We do have like co-working spaces. We have all kinds of apps. We have like this this real estate app which is like Centris or something. It's called Get Keys. So we have very nifty kind of businesses.
But all the big dogs can't come in there or they're just not interested in taking a piece of
I don't know
action of the market.
I don't know why they don't do that. It's a personal goal of mine to turn warm climates, warm countries like the Cayman Islands and Jamaica into tech hubs. Like it's crazy that they aren't investing more in those countries because there certainly is a talent. But I do think it has to do with the geopolitics, right? Their former British colonies, like Jamaica is thinking about throwing off the king, right? Mm-hmm. Cayman Islands is very firm on the throne.
Sure.
So I think that does create a bit of an issue. So you do see, firmly Jamaican apps, and then you also see, dual citizens who, like me, who will be like, yeah, I'm going to create
some action in both.
Business. Right. I'm going to create a Canadian business, but I'm just going to live here, right? Because it's warm and, it's the best place to be in the winter, right? Especially if you're working, 12-hour days. You don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Canada, it's a rough, dude. Okay. So
I live my whole life. I know. You don't got to tell me.
It's rough. Yeah. I'm definitely thankful for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You get the perfect split. A lot of people work as contractors like you did down there from Jamaica, and for not the dual citizens. I'm talking just Jamaican person sets up their own Jamaican business and works as a contractor in tech. Is that common or no?
I think it's changing.
It's changing.
Yeah. So we definitely need to have an extended conversation about this.
That's fair.
It is changing, but there's a huge potential down there for that.
Yeah. Is it easy to start a business in Jamaica or not really?
No.
So it's tough.
Yeah, and I think primarily it's because there's still a colony, right? And a lot of
Gotcha.
our laws have not been updated. So it's like every time they update a law in the UK, it doesn't necessarily update in Jamaica.
Gotcha.
So a
I
lot
didn't
of
know
our
that.
yeah, a lot of our laws are like from the 1800s. Like
So you can't just spin up a business on the government website like you can here in 24 hours if you really had to. It's not that quick.
like you can in London because they did. Like you can,
London for sure.
You can in the UK because
easy.
they did have a huge like tech digital transformation like kind of before COVID. Like I want to say 2015,
Okay.
kind of like when I started working here.
Okay.
There was like a huge shift in the government in the UK, but somehow it did not trickle down to the.
So still a bit tricky.
It didn't trickle down to the colonies, so it's very archaic.
Takes more time, like your barber.
Yeah,
You know?
so you can do it all. You can. I don't want to say no. There's no way.
Just not as common. Different setup than
It's
here for
very
right
difficult. Yeah, and you definitely need a lawyer. Right?
now. Yeah.
And then paperwork, and then you got to wait.
Right.
Right. So, hopefully, it will get easier. But I would say it's the best place to work. Right.
Yeah.
If you're working hard, right. If you want to be somewhere warm. Life
gives you the balance, right? It gives you good balance.
I also know that I'm incredibly privileged. I will say that I have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
But that's how it should be. Right.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Like we should be. You should be working in a cool climate.
Yeah, why
right?
not?
It's also easy to travel. Like the flight from Kingston to Toronto is 3 hours and 50 minutes.
I've heard
not
it's
even
short.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Right. So we should be living in a world where you can travel more. Like that's how my family did it. We sort of move around. We don't, not in a, I guess not in a like a reality show way, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like I'm hesitant sometimes to even say that. It's not in a, like you're going, oh my god, I'm going to my.
No, you guys got your setup.
It's literally
right?
just
it
like
works.
it's literally just like it's cold.
Yeah.
And let's just go
somewhere warm
to our house. Yeah, I'm literally like going to my mom's house in Kingston with internet and my dog. And
got everything you need.
Everything exactly. Yeah. So.
Speaking of the dogs, obviously you love dogs,
Oh my
right?
God.
This big inspiration for the company, right? Tell us about your dog.
My dog.
Yeah,
Coco.
please tell us about your dog and how the relationship with the dog inspired you to build Feisty Paw. Or start building Feisty Paw.
My dog's name is Coco. Shout out to Coco. I love you, Coco. Day one. Okay.
How old's the dog now?
Coco is 4 years old. She just turned 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what
July
kind of dog?
1. She is a Catahoula mix. So I don't know if that's popular here. I don't know if it's popular in Canada. I definitely haven't heard that.
me.
And I didn't hear of a Catahoula like when I picked her up.
Okay, nice.
Right? Yeah. So it's kind of houndish.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's kind of shorter, but she looks like a chocolate lab. But she has a little bit of pit, a little bit of rot.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And she does have the eczema. That's from the.
That's a real dog.
Yeah. Oh, she's a real dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Nice.
So she's chocolate brown. Yeah.
And you can bring her on the plane, no problem. Back and forth. Or no?
No, because so it goes back to the ancient laws, right? So I keep her in Jamaica because it's easier and like.
She probably loves that.
So now she's with my aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
Who are older. They love her.
Yeah.
They spoil her.
I bet.
A lot.
Yeah.
They give her Jamaican patties, which is like a no-no.
I don't doubt. Yeah.
I'm just like, they cannot.
Now that you're doing all the research, right? But don't they make that with what kind of flour? What kind of flour?
It's not the flour, dude. It's spice.
True.
Because it's spicy,
digestion.
bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, do not give her. I'm like, I'm happy that you guys like love her, but like.
Take it easy on the Jamaican patties.
Yeah. I know.
She probably loves them though.
No, oh my God. Yeah. They love her and like, they take her on way more walks than I do.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So she's way more active and which she loves, right? So it's kind of nice,
Very nice.
But I think she'd be okay on the plane. But so as I was saying, it's easy to take dogs out of Jamaica, but taking them in is so difficult. Yeah,
because it's not even worth it.
Yeah, they're super fixated on rabies. I don't know what happened if there was like an outbreak of rabies
on the island. I think every island's like that. They're pretty strict with the rabies.
But like I brought down dentist sticks and they were like, "What are these?" And I was just like, "Dentist sticks? What do you think they are?"
Very strict.
And they were like, "I don't think you can." Yeah, even though I couldn't take dentist sticks down in my luggage, but I can order them on Amazon to my house in Jamaica.
Strange. Very strange.
Yeah, so a lot of strange laws. Yeah, but there is a new breed coming out of Jamaica, a new native breed. It's called the Jamaican brown dog.
And what's it like? Like what kind of dog is that?
It's really like, it's just kind of brownish.
Well, I figured based off the name, like what is it like? What, compare it to like
Actually, now there's more variety to them.
Okay.
So like a friend of mine.
Oh, so it's just a mutt that
Yeah,
the color is brown.
It literally is a mutt. But now they're more exotic. Like a friend of mine, was dog sitting a dog, and I thought it was a greyhound. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know there were greyhounds in Jamaica. And he was
It's
like,
not,
no,
though.
it's a Jamaican brown dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they can look like anything.
Well, now I guess they're starting to evolve. Like
Okay.
literally in the last
Starting to standardize the.
I don't know what happened, if there's like some kind of secret breeding program, but now they're much more, I guess, bespoke, right?
Interesting.
So like a neighbor of mine has one that looks like pretty much has the same coat as a husky. Not as tall of hair, but like literally looks
Kinda
like
looks like one.
yeah, white husky.
That's wild.
With heterochromia. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they look so like you would never think it's like a mutt. It's just like, yeah, they look so cute. And
Wow.
the temperaments also have changed too. They're so like docile and sweet. Oh,
Very
great.
nice.
Love dogs.
So last question, if you could go back in time with the brain that you have today as CEO of Feisty Paw, right? To Matt when he just started his career as a contractor, as a designer, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say focus on the story. There's always a story behind every design. You have a story. Each person has a story. That's what we were talking about a lot, like how our families have influenced us, the people that we've met, the relationships that we've built. I think that's probably the thing I will take with me throughout my life and throughout my career. That's why I started this business. That's why we're sitting here today. Right. It's because of story and a history. Right. So I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, they say the secret to selling anything is a real good story and being able to tell it, right?
Yes.
Very convincingly in a way that's
Yes.
very genuine. So I can only wish you the best of success in this next venture. Keep working where it's warm.
Yeah.
And thank you for
Yeah,
joining us on the show today.
I'm definitely going to send you some treats for.
Come
you, Rob.
on.
Yeah. Dude, I have
Thank
to.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. For
Oh,
little
but-
Rigatoni. That's my dog.
Rigatoni. Yes.
Rigatoni.
Oh my
Shout
God.
out to Rigatoni.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I will send a nice
You're the
box.
best, man.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
like leashes and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
That means a lot.